Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Uh, Thank you very much for joining me today. Welcome to Style to Impact Live. If you're joining me live, let me know that you are here. If you're watching the replay, thank you very much for coming back and listening to today's conversation. Engaging in the chat is definitely one of those ways that really tells me that these conversations are having an impact on your life and your personal style. So, thank you very much for being here. And so, before we get into today's conversation, I often like to start with a wellness check in. It's just to take a moment to pause and to reflect and see how you're doing, how you're feeling, and what is it you need to intentionally show up for yourself today, tomorrow, and in the upcoming months. So, if you're here live, as I said, let me know in the chat. I definitely want to hear from you. If you're watching the replay, engage as well. Let me know how you're feeling, how you're doing, and how can I help support you in being more intentional about how you're showing up. So, thank you very much for being here. If you're new to this space, I'm Salida Roberts. I'm the founder of Style to Impact. And I truly believe that representation is not just you being in the room, it's not just you having a seat at the table, but it's also how you show up. And so it's this belief that drives the work that I do as an image stylist in helping to create personalized and impactful style for women who are ready to. Like, I'm so excited at the moment to get into today's conversation that I think I'm losing my voice. I think I needed to have some water before I started today's conversation, but nonetheless, as I was saying, this belief around representation not just being um, you being in the room and having a seat at the table, but also how you show up really impacts the work that I do as an image stylist, right? Which is to create a personalized and impactful style for women who are ready to, have a bigger impact in the world, lead successful businesses, and of course, feel as confident as and fierce on the outside as to how you feel on the inside. So if this is you, let's connect. And so today I'm talking about a conversation that I want to talk about a topic that affects all of us, but it affects us, some of us. We may have similar experiences, but most of the time it's these experiences are personal to us. They're different, but we all can relate to them, and that is wardrobe triggers. And so we'll talk about, what are wardrobe triggers, why they happen, and most importantly, how can we overcome them. So thank you very much for being here. I see I have Tony. Tony, thank you for being here. Glad to hear that you're doing well. So thank you for joining. And so let's get into today's conversation. What are wardrobe triggers? What are wardrobe triggers? In the most simplest way that I can define wardrobe triggers are specific items of clothing style or aspect of your personal appearance that evoke negative emotions, thoughts, or memories, right? And these wardrobe triggers can impact your confidence, your self esteem. They can lead to insecurities and shame around your body and your image, and ultimately leading to you avoiding certain situations, certain styles, which means that you may not be confidently showing up as your true and authentic self. And so I wanted to, and I thought about like my own triggers, wardrobe triggers. What are some of those? I kind of reminds me of this experience that I had. I think I was just about like 10 years old, and my mom, who was living in Antigua and Barbuda at the time, and I was living in Guyana with my aunt, sent me this green and white multi-layered dress. When I say layered, it was like at least 5 layer on this dress, right? And there was like we talk about wearing like a slip. There was that. There was like a can type of material. There was another layer of green, and then it had a layer of white, and then it was finished with this apron style thing. Right? It was like an apron, but it had like the aprons were, it wasn't like it coming down. It was like starting in the front had the shape of the apron coming, and but it kind of tailored out to the side. So I had these two pieces of cloth that I can just hold. And then I had a band around my waist. And I remember my aunt, my godmother, who was living in the US at the time, came on holidays and she wanted to take pictures. And so I just gotten this dress, and it's like, oh yeah, let's put that dress on and we can take pictures. And so I put the dress on, took pictures in it. And, at the time when I was, I looked at the dress and was like, I don't like this dress, right? But as a kid, you really didn't have a choice in, what you wore and what you were given to wear. And so, I put it on and taking these pictures. And I remember distinctively like looking back at those pictures and dreading the way that I looked, right? I was super petite, like super skinny, wearing this multi-layered heavy dress, big glasses. Like for me, I looked weird. I did not like how I looked, did not feel confident. The only thing that this entire look remind me of was Little House on the Prairie. Little House on the Prairie was a show that I watched because it was like the only thing on television at the time for me with the cable that we had. That was one of the shows on there. And I just remember, like, I was like, yeah, I love watching Little House on the Prairie, but I don't want to be in a costume from Little House on the Prairie. Like, I did not like the show that much to say, oh, I want to look like, one of the actresses in the show. Like, I didn't want to, but that dress just evoked so many emotions in me that I stopped wearing dresses for at least, I think I started wearing dresses again, obviously outside of my uniform. I had like, my uniform was like a form of a dress, like a jumper. But like dresses in terms of my personal style and what I wore for myself, I did not wear another dress until I was like, maybe I want to say I was like 20. So that's like a full decade that I avoided wearing dresses. And even to this day, I do not and will not wear dresses that have multiple layers. Like I avoid it like the plague because it just triggered that memory as a child, putting on this dress, feeling so self-conscious and so, I didn't feel pretty. I didn't feel great in it, and it just triggers that, and I'm like, yeah, every time I think about it, I remember asking my mom, like, "Why did you buy me that dress?" She's like, "Oh, it was so pretty." But for me, there was nothing pretty about it, right? And so your wardrobe triggers may be different from that or similar. Maybe you have a similar story as well. So let me know in the chat if you're here. Let me know in the chat, like, what are your wardrobe triggers that you have? And so some common wardrobe triggers that we've all experienced are, and you might be able to relate to some of this as well. It's like clothes that don't fit us, right? If you're insecure about your body, wearing tight clothing where you're showing your curves may feel, trigger that insecurity, may trigger those emotions that you have around your body. So you completely avoid wearing anything that's close fitting because it just triggers those insecurities around your body. Another common trigger is related to work uniforms, right? For some of you who might have worked in a traditional environment or may have worked in an environment that was very triggering for you, was you didn't have a good experience in that workplace. And so any article of clothing or piece of clothing that reminds you of that time that you were in that environment can be triggering, right? I know I spoke to this lady a couple of weeks ago who came from that traditional environment where the navy blue suit was something that was worn, and as women you had to wear skirts as opposed to pants. And so for her, it was, she wants to break out of that traditional look, because every time she goes into her closet and she's looking at all these navy blue suits that's in there, it just reminds her of that time that she was in that workplace, that she wasn't of value, that she couldn't advocate for herself, she could use her voice. And so those emotions can also be tied to something as like I mean, you might not be wearing that uniform anymore, but if you have pieces in your closet that reminds you or evoke that feeling that you might have had in that workplace, is something that you definitely need to consider getting rid of, right? Because holding on to that definitely doesn't serve you any doesn't do any good for your self-esteem or your confidence. Another common wardrobe trigger is wearing clothes that don't really align with your personal style and taste, right? And this comes back to when you think about things that you're wearing that don't align with your personal style and taste, can be related to trying to fit in, trying not to stand out, where you may have a very expressive personality, you may have a very joyful personality, but you're wearing clothes that are dull, they are not vibrant, they don't feel like you, because you are in an environment where you don't feel confident showing up as your authentic self. You don't feel confident breaking away from that expectation as to what it means to be a professional, what does a professional looks like. So you're wearing clothing that really doesn't align with who you are. And ultimately, if your clothes doesn't align with who you are, every time you're getting dressed, those emotions and those triggering feelings will come up for you. It's like, okay, I really don't want to wear this, this does not make me feel great. And which then defeats the purpose of you showing up in the spaces, taking up space, using your voice, and really having the impact that you want. Another common wardrobe trigger, and this is a big one, especially for women of color, is triggers around our appearance and what we wear and how we show up. Right? It's if you decide one day that you're going to wear your natural hair, you're going to wear braids to work, it's having to deal with that trigger. It's like, or maybe you went on vacation. Think about it this way: you went on vacation, you put in your braids, and you have to go back to work, and you're thinking, okay, I need to remove my braids because there is that emotional aspect of it that you have to deal with if you go into the workplace wearing braids, where everyone is going to, like, someone is going to be talking about your braids, and you're trying to figure out, okay, is this going to be professional, is this going to be a conversation, how long is this going to be a conversation for? And so you avoid wearing braids to work, or you avoid wearing that color blazer, right? That orange blazer, or maybe that olive green blazer, because you don't want it to be a topic of conversation. You don't want to be centered in that way where everybody is making such a big deal about your appearance, when it's just who you are and you want to be free and comfortable and confident being yourself, right? And another trigger that affects all of us as women is the cultural and societal expectation and standards around appearance and beauty, right? If we look at ourselves at the mirror, and society is saying that to be beautiful you have to have the light skin, you have to have wavy hair, or you have to have straight hair, or you have to have a certain body type, and then you look in the mirror and you're not seeing that, that's not who you are based on what society is saying to you, then that can trigger some emotions whenever you're getting dressed and whenever you're showing up, because you're feeling less worthy, because society is telling you to be worthy of being beautiful, of to be worthy of feeling confident and looking great. You have to look a certain way and you have to act a certain way, and that is not true, right? We all know what those biases and the effect of those biases can have on our self-esteem and on our confidence, as well as it can also reflect in our wardrobe, because we're trying to meet this standard of beauty, we're wearing things and we're presenting ourselves in a way that's not authentic to us. So let me know, like, which of these triggers that I've talked about can you identify with, or maybe even share, like, what are some of your wardrobe triggers that you might have experienced in the past, or you're still experiencing, so that we can, I can hear what, some of your feedback, and of course try as best as I can to provide whatever comfort and solutions that I can as you navigate these wardrobe challenges that you're going through. All right, so what to do now that we know what some of these triggers are, and that's not all. The triggers that I listed are not all. All of us, as I said, experience wardrobe triggers in different ways. It come up in different ways for us as individuals. So some of the what I've listed is not exhausted. You may have different triggers that you're experiencing. And so, what are some of the triggers, what to do when some of these triggers come up? What do you do? Because it's one thing to know what they are, but we also need to know what to do when they come up, right? How do you handle wardrobe triggers? And so wardrobe triggers should be treated the same way you would any other I I, I want to say illness, whether or not that's anxiety, whether or not that's emotional triggers, whether or not that's depression. Because if we are not feeling great about ourselves and we're in that state of, we're anxious, we're depressed, we're emotional. When we step in, and when you step into your wardrobe to get dressed, if the things in your wardrobe are not aligned with who you are, it can amplify those feelings, in a more on a more great and larger scale, and leading to you, really not feeling good about yourself. Because one thing I know for sure, and you can also relate to this, is that getting dressed is an emotional experience. It is a very emotional experience. And if we're not in the right place, if you're not in the right mindset, it can trigger so many emotions, right? And so this is why, we're having this conversation to really identify what are some of those wardrobe triggers, because getting dressed is so emotional. And if you know what's triggering you in your wardrobe, then of course you know how to handle it. You find better tools and strategies in it to be able to work on those. And we'll talk about some of those strategies later on. But for now, it's just addressing, like, what do you do when those triggers come up, right? Because some of those triggers you might have experienced when you're not feeling great. Like, for instance, you're going shopping, you need a new outfit, or you need to add some different pieces, some other pieces to your wardrobe. And so you found one in your stores that you normally shop at, and you go into the store, you grab a couple of pieces, 5 or 10 pieces, you walk into the dressing room and you're just trying on pieces, and nothing fits, nothing feels great on you. And so you have a complete dressing room meltdown where you're like, okay, nothing fits, nothing works. I hate shopping. And so, you freak out. And for some women, I've worked with women who've talked about crying in those moments. It's like, why can't I find something that fits me? Why can't I find clothing that feels great on me? And thinking there's something wrong with their body, thinking that there's something wrong with them, not knowing how to dress themselves, not knowing how to choose clothing that really feels great on them and really fits them. And so all those emotions, taking all those emotions can then lead to, has a domino effect in so many areas of our lives, right? It affects you showing up in your business. It affects you going to events. It affects you, raising your hand and asking for that promotion. It affects how you feel, right? If whenever you're getting dressed and these emotions and wardrobe triggers are coming up, it you know it affects how powerful you feel. It affects how sexy and how strong and how confident you're feeling. So we're going to talk about. I'm going to go into. I can go on about that, but I'm going to share with you a couple of things that you can do to once you've identified what your wardrobe triggers are. And then the next phase is to really come up with strategies to be able to target what your wardrobe triggers are so that you can successfully move through it and start feeling more confident wearing clothing that feels more confident and more aligned with you. And so the first thing that you need to do whenever these wardrobe triggers show up is to do an audit, right? Identify the triggers. Identify the triggers that you are feeling, right? Take a moment and do an audit of your center yourself, do an audit of your feelings. Let's go back to that example of going to a store, and you're in the dressing room and you're trying on clothing and nothing fits, and you're feeling all these anxieties, emotions, and frustrations. You're feeling it. It's in your body. You can feel it. Take a beat and let's do an audit. What is the trigger? Like, what is causing the trigger? Is it the type of clothing? Maybe it's a dress that you're trying on that has maybe a belt at the waist. Maybe it's fitting you snug. Maybe it's big. Like, what is it about that particular garment that you're trying on that's causing an emotional reaction in you? Right? And once you have that identified, it's like, okay, I hate the belt. The belt is frustrating. I'm trying to tie it. I'm trying to decide how to bow, if I should put a bow, if I should wear it in the back, if I should wear it in the front, like what's going on? Like, how do I wear this particular garment? If that is the trigger, then decide for yourself, is this particular item or is this particular garment worthy of me buying and having to deal with these frustrations? I'm going to share an example with you. I'm going to show you this top that I bought that would be an example of getting dressed and having these emotional feelings and wardrobe triggers. And so let me just grab that. So there's this shirt, and this is how you can identify whether or not a particular clothing is causing you. It's bought this shirt. It's a blouse on Zara. I saw it on the website. It had all the things that I liked. It had like the bow that I can tie and put in front of me. I like the pattern, which is quite unusual. I thought of different ways that I can wear it. I like the bell sleeve. Like, there are a lot of things that I like about it. Bought it because it was on sale. It was $69.90, and I think I got it for like $20. So I was like, oh, steal of a deal. It has all the things that I like when it comes to my clothing, how I want it. So I got it, and up to this day, I'm trying to figure out how to wear this. Like, how I'm supposed to tie it. It's confusing. Just trying to put it on was so frustrating. Like, I'm like, okay, so is this the neck part of it? Is it supposed to fall this way? And then I'm like, okay, this is causing me I'm too anxious. I'm too overwhelmed. It's just like too many things to figure out. So I decided that I'm gonna return that top because it doesn't make getting dressed easy. It's frustrating for me. So identify for yourself, like, what are those pieces? Do that audit. What are those pieces of clothing that are triggering? Why it's triggering? Is it difficult to style? Is it doesn't feel right on your body? Is the material doesn't feel great on you? Is the fit off? Like, identify what that is, and tapping to that feeling, knowing what that feeling is, then you'll know, okay, is this item worth it? Am I going to figure this out, or if it's the emotions is too great and you're feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, then return it if you can, Don't buy it if you're in the closet. It's not you. It's just the garment. It's not me. It's just this blouse that's ridiculously complicated to put on, and I don't want complications whenever I'm getting dressed. And that may be something that you are looking for. Like, you just want to have clothing that's easy to wear, looks good on you, and you feel confident wearing. The second thing that you need to do when it comes to your wardrobe triggers, how to handle them, is to reframe your thoughts, right? Reframe your thoughts. As I was saying, it's if you're putting on, when you put on that dress, it's not something is wrong with my body. It's like, oh my gosh, this dress is too big because I need to lose weight. No, reframe your thoughts. It's, can I get this dress tailored to fit my body? Right? Tailoring is something that women don't utilize a lot, right? And I find the conversation around tailoring is different for women than it is for men. For men, tailoring, it's like that thing, their go-to. I've never heard, in my experience, I've never heard a man going, oh, this suit doesn't fit. I am fat. This suit doesn't fit. I need to lose weight. He never equates the way the clothing fits to his physical body. He will say, okay, this doesn't fit. Can I get it tailored to fit my body? If it's too big, he's going to get it tailored to fit his body. If it's too small, he's going to go up a size and get it tailored for his body. For women, tailoring indicates that there's this mindset, again, the trigger cultural expectation and standard of beauty, that if you have to get your clothes tailored as a woman, it means something is wrong with your body. And that is not true. So I want you to reframe your thoughts. Whenever something negative comes to mind when you're getting dressed and it's relating to your body and it's relating to how you're feeling in your confidence, take a moment and reframe that. It's not you. It can be, and it is 9 out of 10 times, the garment that you're trying to put on, the garment that you're trying to wear, that does not, one, it does not suit you and suit your body type, or two, it's just really complicated to wear. So don't take it as a reflection on you, but as a reflection on looking at finding clothing that really fits you. Which brings me to the third tip and strategy for you to, whenever your wardrobe triggers come up, for you to handle those, is to get a wardrobe refresh. Sometimes that's just what it is. If your wardrobe, in your wardrobe, there are pieces that really don't align with you, like you're not the same person that you were yesterday, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. There are a lot of things might have changed with you, from your where you're living, from you having a child, from you, maybe you've gone on a health journey and you've lost weight, or you've gotten in shape, I should say, the shape that you want to be in. You might have changed industries and jobs, and so everything in your closet may have been from a past life that doesn't align with the person that you are today. And if those pieces don't align with who you are today, you will always walk into your closet feeling frustrated and feeling anxious whenever you're getting dressed. So wardrobe refresh is definitely something that I recommend. You can start that by, creating a vision as to what you want your style to look like, right? Go back to centering getting dressed around you. What do you want your style to look like? How do you want to feel? What are some pieces that you can add to your closet, that you want to add to your closet, that's going to allow you to feel and show up the way that you want to? And go on Pinterest and just remove the filter of, when you're going on Pinterest and you're looking for images that reflect the style that you want, remove that filter that you might have put on yourself that says, oh, I can't wear that because my body, right? Remember, we talk about reframing our thoughts. So going and creating your vision board on Pinterest requires the same reframing. I need you to just look at the item, look at the style, and identify what is it about this particular style you like. Is it that you like the scarf? Is it that you like the colors? Is it that you like the style of the particular garment? Is it the way the model or the person is styling these different elements of clothing? Maybe it's a mixed pattern style that you like. Ooh, I really like that. Be specific about what is it you like, but do not, and I repeat, do not compare anything that you find to your body, but use it as a guide to how you want to show up, because you would have done that work in determining how you want to show up. And so now you're finding the pieces that really aligns with how you want to show up and the look that you want to have. And if that sounds like a lot, like, okay, you don't know where to start, you don't know what to do. And again, that's another wardrobe trigger. Having to do that and not having a clear idea as to where to start can also result in you feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, and not doing anything about your style. This is where I come in, right? This is how I work with my clients. Whenever, the process of working with my clients is all done for you. You don't have to worry about all the things that goes into creating your personal style, all the things that go into creating that vision, all the things that goes into trying to identify brands and places to shop and knowing what to buy. You don't have to worry about how to put together outfits, what that looks like. Like, I do all of that for you. So the only thing that you need to do is to tell me how you want to look and feel. And what are some things that are comfortable for you? What is the direction that you want to go with your style? How you want to express yourself? Who are you as a person? What are some of the things that you like? And I will take all of that, create your vision, create a list of items that you need to add to your wardrobe that's going to really reflect who you are, and to close that gap between who you are and what's in your wardrobe. So if that's something that you're interested in, it's like, okay, Salida, that sounds great. I don't want to do anything. Can you be my coach, direct me, be my stylist, shop the pieces for me, and I will try on, put them on. Then of course you can send me a message on LinkedIn, or you can send me a message by going directly to my website, styletoimpact.com. And so we've talked about what are wardrobe triggers. Wardrobe triggers, as I said, are pieces of clothing that you might have worn or are wearing that's evoking a negative emotion in you and how you're feeling. Some of those triggers can be things from, wearing clothing, like maybe wearing tight clothing, and it just reminds you about the insecurities that you have around your body. So you try to avoid anything that showcases or highlights your beauty in that way. And of course, understanding like how do you handle those triggers. A couple of things that I shared with you there is to do an audit of how you're feeling, what is coming up for you, and what about that particular garment or clothing, what is the trigger, what is coming up for you, and do a reframe of your thoughts. Don't um don't reflect it to you. Don't make it don't look at what's coming up for you as a reflection on your body and your image, and that you are not worthy, and that you are not beautiful. You are absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. So reframe that thought to being something is wrong with that clothing, and how can I get it adjusted to fit my body, or how can I just remove it completely from my wardrobe. And do remember that some of these wardrobe triggers can be linked to those cultural and societal expectations and standard of beauty around appearance and body size. So it's very important that you identify what your triggers are. And remember that you need to focus on self-acceptance. Surround yourself with positive people, positive things. That means in your wardrobe, when you walk into your wardrobe, all the pieces that you have in your wardrobe, all the pieces that you're wearing should not make you feel anxious, should not make you feel, you know, should not affect your self esteem. It should make you feel confident, beautiful, sexy, powerful, all the amazing things that you already are. So, everything that you wear should allow you to reflect that feeling that you are and how you're showing up. And so, to overcome those wardrobe triggers, start wearing clothes that makes you feel confident. Let me know what questions come up for you based on today's conversation. What are some questions that you have? You can let me know in the chat. If you're here watching you're here live, let me know in the chat. If you're here watching the replay, then of course, thank you very much for being in, and let me know, like, based on today's conversation, what are some questions that are coming up for you? Thank you all very much for joining. If we haven't connected as yet, definitely click that button. I know some of you are watching me here on LinkedIn. I know I'm also broadcasting on YouTube. So if you're watching me here on LinkedIn, definitely connect, hit that follow button, send me a message, let me know what impact today's conversation has had on you. So thank you very much for being here. Until next time, maximize your impact in style. Have a great day.